In this video, I will continue to discuss the collapse of Western civilization and future of humans. We have to decide, will we extinct a biological species, or we will have brilliant future, galactic future, actually what we can do to have a hope and not to extinct. And now I will go in more details about what biology is behind our collapse. It is not only economical collapse or societal collapse, but again, we are biological species. What relates to some other species, it relates to us. Okay, let's go, and this video is about lessons from the Calhoun experiment mouse Utopia. So you can go to internet, read many articles about this experiment. It's quite, and I was also making video on it, so it is quite interesting information about the how population collapse in other biological species. So with a global population of 7.7 billion, now maybe 8 billion people, we have already reached the planet maximum carrying capacity or above it. Without new technologies, it is already way above the carrying capacity, and we see it, the collapse of nature, the collapse of ecological system, ecosystem around us. So the poorer nations with high fertility rates risk falling into a state of demographic entrapment, where population growth exceeds the carrying capacity of the local ecosystem, and there are insufficient export earning to fund essential imports. So the migration of young people from these countries to Western Europe and North America might temporarily stabilize these poorer nations, but could potentially hasten the decline of Western civilization. This is exactly what happens, especially in Western Europe, but also United States. When considering the future development of nations, the critical factors are total fertility rate. This again, we are biological species, but also we use our brain, our minds to develop new technologies, and also average intelligence quotient is important because to develop new technologies, we have to be really smart. And also gross domestic product per capita also was some factor which influence the future of the nation. Additionally, examine the biological aspects of human history reveals parallels with population cycles observed in nature. So this again demonstrations that in some countries like India, human population is long already after this carrying capacity of the land. This is terrible. I was in India 2 times. It is actually a terrible experience. I'm sorry about these Indians, but again, what to do? We have to. They don't develop, or no, they do a lot to develop new technologies, but it is somehow not so well going. So what to do? So let's go to the biological aspects of this collapse. So John Calhoun, Universe 25 experiment, it is actually an experiment, was many experiments with rat and mice. So it was a study of the behavior and social organization of mice and rats in controlled environment without predation, infections, food shortages, or competition from other animals. This is what we see in the developed nations. So exactly such conditions. So Calhoun experiment demonstrates that rodents prefer to stay in densely populated areas of the cage where the group size exceeds the optimum, while a lot of space is still underpopulated. The behaviors observed in the experiment, such as increased aggression by females, cannibalism, reproductive failure, and social apathy by most males, have been interpreted by some as a warning of the potential consequences of human relocation from rural areas to large cities. This exactly we can see in developed countries all these problems. Some researchers cited the project as possible pattern for the rise and fall of human civilization. So this was picture from his publication. Again, the cage was not so big, but again was more than enough to support many more rodents than eventually it was achieved in these experiments. So in the mouse Utopia experiment, also known as Universe 25, the maximum number of generations of mice that were observed was around 15 or 20. For an animal as simple as a rodent, the most complex behaviors involve the interrelated sets of courtship, maternal care, and territorial defense, and hierarchical intragroup and intergroup social organization. The collapse of the colony was primarily due to the social and behavioral changes that occurred as a result of the overcrowding of rodents in some areas of the cage, while other areas were underpopulated. Again, this was very strange. That's again why people are moving to cities, why some rodents are going to some areas while the other areas are underpopulated. Again, it is it's kind of mystery, but this explains a lot. The rodents began to exhibit hostile, passive, and antisocial behaviors, such were called the behavior sink. Okay, you can go again to read more about this. Something similar was happening in the history of ancient Rome when humans migrated from rural areas to overcrowded cities. It is again very common. So we are biological species, nothing more. What we can see in rodents is happening in human history. So you see the number of mice in the population in this experiment was again much less than the carrying capacity of the cage. But again, after some generations there was collapse and no more new babies were born, and then eventually a total self-extinction was it was going to total self-extinction of the colony. You see, it is dangerous. It looks like it is good to live in the paradise, but the result is always the same: self-extinction of the colony or civilization. So it is difficult to define the start of Western civilization, to calculate when this collapse will happen, but we may consider the Industrial Revolution in Great Britain around 1760s or 1770s as the beginning of the growth stage. If we extrapolate the number of generations in the mouse Utopia experiment to humans, we may estimate that expected duration of any human civilization is from 300 to 500 years. Okay, this duration of the cycle, human civilization cycle. Then the prosperity stage of Western civilization is supposed to end about 1980, and this is what happened, I believe, with the stage of decline since then. So we see some improvement of the living conditions, but it is not relates to development of new technologies or development of science. It is from end of 80s we see that almost collapse in science. It is new technologies developed, but they are based on scientific research which was done before 1980. The projected time of the collapse of Western civilization can be estimated to be about 2060, or maybe before or later, I don't know, it's difficult to say. And we already see many biological signs of the behavioral sink in Western societies. Indeed, on average, both men and women are getting an imbalance of sexual hormones. This is what, again, this is the fact. So modern females are becoming more masculine and independent. Yeah, they're strong and independent women. But while males are losing interest in marriage, providing for a family and having children, it is again so-called men go their own way. This is again getting more and more young males, young men don't want to go to marriage, providing for a family, because it is again all the hormonal disbalance, all the problems in our society. It is again collapsing. Our family culture is collapsing. So what females are asking? They're asking for equality, actually for equity, so not working, independent of your contribution to society, the equal distribution of resources. This is again the communism. Communism always collapsing. It's unsustainable. And again, they are like strong, independent women. If they are strong, independent women, they don't need men to live. They don't need children, or if they have children, single mothers, children in single motherhood, they are don't grow to be good members of society. This is again disaster. So experiments by John Calhoun also demonstrated the importance of Darwinian or natural selection of the fetus for the survival of the rodent colony. Without selecting our degrade mutants and weak individuals, the colony of rodents collapses. So if you try to get this equity, so to equal distribution of resources, and again, this is all collapsing. So our human society and our human species developed in the condition of very harsh Darwinian or selection of the fittest for survival. And it was much artificial selection, but again, this is what was the condition for development. Natural selection has also played a crucial role in biological evolution of humans as a species. For example, evolution of the human brain over millions of years is thought to have been driven in part by natural selection, as it allowed early humans to develop more complex social and cultural behavior, such as language, cooperation, tool-making, which in turn improved their chances of survival and reproduction as biological species. The larger human brain is probably related to meat-based diets. Okay, so again, this is what I say. Now vegetarian and vegan diets are proposed, and the result is again, during the last 30,000 years, human brain size decreased by approximately 10%, and also we see a drop of intelligence, average intelligence in humans. Why? Because we moving from consumption of this meat-based diets to plant-based diets, and yes, this is what is happening. So instead of getting smarter and better, the brain of size is dropping. Some people say it is good, it's no problem, but okay, trust me, it is again very important. The size of the brain and the development of the brain is absolutely important for development of new technologies. So will we devolve eventually to monkeys? Okay, let's see. Again, if we will go to the monkeys, well, then I would say human civilization will collapse completely, and we as human species will extinct. It is again, it is just, you see how sharp it drops, the intelligence quotient and the size of the brain. So times of natural selection of humans are in the past. In 17th century, about 1/3 of all children born did not survive to their first birthday in Europe, and only about 1/3 of all children survived to adulthood due to malnutrition and poor sanitation in that time. Again, I would not say it is good that high rate of death rate in among children, but it is again, it was part of the selection, natural selection. All weak individuals just didn't go to adulthood, didn't survive to adulthood. So the infant mortality rate gradually declined over the next several centuries, and by the early 20th century, it has fallen to below 1% of live births in many European countries. Today, the infant mortality rate in most European countries and the US is below 0.5% of the live births, which is among the lowest in the world due to improvements in sanitation, hygiene, and nutrition, as well as advances in modern healthcare and medical technology. Again, I should not say it is bad, low infant mortality, but what we see is there is no selection of the best and fittest and the healthiest individuals any longer. So there are some alternatives for this, because other alternatives that people will not have babies at all. So this is the mortality rate among infants. You see how sharp it drops. It dropped now. It is very low. Okay, so you can go to the source information. And again, if you want to support this project and improve your health and live forever young, or at least 1,000 years young, yes, what the minimum what you can do is subscribe to my channel, click on bell button, share this information with your friends and relatives, and you can communicate with me, and you can ask also through communicate with me with this Telegram channel, and also you can ask questions in comments, and if I have time I will answer this. Okay, have a wonderful day. Ciao ciao.